the Trade Commissioner of the Embassy of Cyprus will connect with us. Good morning.
Good morning.
Honorable Aristos Constantine will actually explain a lot about the quality connected with food, and as Rafi Taherian was saying before, why the quality and policy making is useful in this conversation so that everything comes together. So, Honorable.
Thank you, Daniela. Good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure to be with you today, at least virtually. And I've been watching the conference and I'm blown away by the substantive and varied insights that the speakers have brought to the MDR conference this year. So I suppose I should begin with perhaps the most important thing that I'll say today, and that is congratulations. And thank you to the MDR for this conference and all the work you do. It's very important to all of us, and you do an amazing job. So, as some of you may recall, I had the privilege of addressing the MDR conference in 2019, and I spoke then of how the Mediterranean diet is a reflection of the region itself. The Mediterranean is defined by diversity, yet at the same time, it is bound by a shared sense of cultural identity. And in a similar way, the huge variety of dishes from the Mediterranean diet is bound by its shared philosophy of balanced nutrition, of health, of well-being, and of course, quality. And quality is, as Daniela said, what I wish to focus on today. And I'll do so from a couple of different angles. Firstly, I'd like to look at the EU approach to quality, very similar to the Mediterranean philosophy, in that it is characterized by an understanding that the quality and qualities of a product are inextricably linked to its geographic origin and the artisanal know-how of its people. And I think that's a theme that's come up during the conversation over the last yesterday and today. This understanding and approach to quality is encapsulated in the nuanced yet very robust EU intellectual property system of geographical indicators, which I'm sure many of you are familiar with. And I think there's some misunderstanding as to the nature of geographical indicators. I think people view them outside of Europe, at least, much like a trademark. But that is not actually the case. Unlike a trademark, which is linked to a particular business or a product brand, and of course it can signify a degree of quality that things are made in a particular way. A geographic indicator signifies the distinctiveness and the quality of a product as derived from a combination of regional factors, of geographic factors, from the raw ingredients to the way it's made, taking into account the climate, the soil, the elevation, the plants, the animal species, as well as the human factors, method of cultivation or production, and it does so all in one, which I think is an amazing achievement, actually. And the geographic indicators fall under what is aptly known as the EU quality scheme. The two main types of geographic indicators that apply to food, agricultural products, and wines are one, the protected designation of origin, the PDO. And you know what, I can share screen so you can see what that looks like very briefly. Yes, so we have protected designation of origin, which covers every part of the production. The ingredients, the processing, the preparation, the process, everything must originate and take place in that specific region. And the other is the protected geographical indication, which is similar, but less stringent. It allows for at least one of the stages of production or processing or preparation to take place in the region is less strict on the ingredients being locally sourced. Now, a good example, I think, of a PDO, a recent PDO, which is halloumi, which was recently awarded to Cyprus, and as of 1st of October, all halloumi production will bear the insignia, the designation, protected designation of origin. And in the same, as I just described, every ingredient, every aspect of the production of halloumi is done in Cyprus, utilizing the same methods and manner as has been done in Cyprus since time immemorial. Another example is Kumandaria, also PDO, which some of you may know, the oldest appellation, oldest named wine in the world. And it can only be made from specific indigenous grape varietals harvested from a very small region in the Troodos Mountains, and adhering to very strict methods of production. So these are, and it is worth noting that non-European products, I don't think many people realize this, that non-European products can also be registered as geographic indicators if, that is, the country of origin has a bilateral regional agreement with the EU for mutual protection. One good example that many of you will know is argan oil from Morocco. I'm not sure if it's argan or argan. I apologize if I'm mispronouncing. So, as I mentioned, because geographic indicators and trademarks are distinct or very different forms of IP, and their respective legal premise is very different, it often makes protecting against imitation products outside of the EU complicated. Now, in the US or Canada, of course, it's possible that you can also protect your a product that has a geographic indication as a trademark or certification mark. Again, Cyprus has done this in the US with halloumi, and in Canada with Kumandaria wine. But in the end, I believe that these designations, as they become hopefully more widely understood outside of Europe, that consumers themselves and operators will seek them out, since they are, in essence, as I've just described, a guarantee of authenticity and quality, and they are more than simply a legal or regulatory mechanism. What the designations truly reflect is that these products are the real deal. When my neighbor recently asked me, he was going to Whole Foods and he said, "What feta should I buy? What's authentic? What's good?" My answer was simple: find one with a PDO seal, and you're good to go. Doesn't matter which one it is. If it's got the PDO seal, you're good to go. I mean, in the end, the world's genuine heritage foods can be, and no doubt will be, imitated and sold cheaper. But that brings me to the second way I want to explore quality. And I was listening to Paul Rice, the CEO of Fair Trade USA yesterday, and he said it beautifully during his presentation yesterday. He said, consumers want healthy food that they can trust and that is produced in a manner consistent with their values. It's a very profound statement, and I think a very true one. And he went on to say that, to describe that they want to know that their food is produced in a way that is sustainable and is responsible, and that is environmentally and socioeconomically good for the farmers. Back in 2019, some of you, Rafi was there, I remember we had a conversation about it. I talked about the importance of ancestral agricultural systems, and how they are the foundation of the Mediterranean diet, and that they are crucial components of our cultural, ecological, and agricultural biodiversity and our identity. And I voiced my concern then that these agricultural systems were threatened by many factors, including climate change, and environmental degradation, as well as perhaps to the most significant degree, by the industrialization of the food industry, which lowers the economic viability for small, traditional, and artisanal enterprises, causing many of them to struggle. And I stressed then my view that there was a need to bring small, micro family farmers and artisanal producers into the global value chain. Not an easy thing, I know. And to empower these small producers with access to innovative and integrated modern methods, with the use of agri-tech and agroecology, not just for the sake of ecological sustainability, but also for socioeconomic sustainability. And while many supported this view prior to the pandemic, I don't think at the time that there was sufficient economic or political will, or perhaps even ability, to take aggressive steps in this direction. But that has changed. The combination of the impact of the COVID pandemic, coupled with the EU's sustainable and inclusive growth strategy, known as the EU Green Deal, coupled with a new common agricultural policy and supported by significant EU recovery funds, has dramatically shifted things. In the words of the European Commission itself, the EU's recovery from the COVID pandemic will be a green recovery, and sustainable agriculture and food systems are a key component of that. The link between healthy people, healthy societies, and a healthy planet puts sustainable food systems at the heart of the European Green Deal. It is designed to boost the economy, improve people's health and quality of life, and care for nature. The shift to sustainable food systems can bring environmental, health, and social benefits, as well as offer fairer economic gains. The recovery from the pandemic will put us onto a sustainable path, and the EU's goals are as follows: to ensure food security in the face of climate change and biodiversity loss, to reduce the environmental and climate footprint of the EU food system, to strengthen the EU food system's resilience, and to lead a global transition toward competitive sustainability from farm to fork. And Cyprus has fully embraced this and understands that this transition period is an opportunity that must be seized to diversify and strengthen our economy whilst aligning with the goals of the Green Agreement, of the Green Deal, and the new Common Agricultural Policy. Under the framework of a new regional policy of the Republic of Cyprus, which envisions a Mediterranean region connected through common interest, through inclusiveness, partnership, and cooperation, we are actively engaging our neighbors in the region to develop cooperation on multiple sectors and fields to the mutual benefit of us all. And those are my brief thoughts on this topic. And if anyone has any questions, I'm happy to field them very briefly. I don't want to hold up the next speaker. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Honorable Constantine. I do have a very quick question for you. Very quick. Is Allumi now DOP?
Yes.
Yes. That's good news. That's a very important step to protect one of your many products.
That's the other issue with PDOs and PGIs. So it gives very strict, number one, that the quality standards are and the authenticity is very strictly monitored. And that means when a product becomes popular, it's hard to scale up, right? These are not designed, these are ancestral, artisanal, high quality products that are not easy to scale up to mass production. It takes time. And therein lies also the rub in terms of cost. But again, I feel that the pendulum has swung and that people the way they view quality is not just about, its organoleptic properties or even just the health properties, although those continue to be important. It's more than that. It's the socioeconomic factors. And I think in that, these authentic Mediterranean producers and products have a bright future.
Thank you, Onorevole Constantino. We salute you from New York, and next time we hope to have you in person.